I've always had this sort of kooky 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon-esque view of anime and anime characters. Not strictly anime, I'm talking about anything animated really, from Hanna-Barbera to Warner Brothers to Disney cartoons and films, animated features and such like that. But specifically with anime, because I have watched a lot of anime and because I've been a long-time movie buff and, comic book fan as well as gamer and stuff, and I just have a creative imagination. I've always sort of pinpointed whenever you run across a character in a given series that looks very similar to a character from another series. I always notice those things, and I like to sort of playfully imagine that there's another dimension, an animated dimension, kind of like a Cool World or a Who Framed Roger Rabbit aesthetic, where these are actors. They're cartoon actors who play different roles. And sometimes what will influence that line of thinking is a voice actor carrying over, like Steve Blum, for example, has done many a character's voice, and from Spike Spiegel to Mugen from Samurai Champloo to it just goes on and on and on and on. He's even voiced Wolverine and everything like that. And I have oftentimes thought of, like, when I hear his voice playing another character, if a character looks similar enough to another character he's portrayed, well, that's actually in this anime dimension, a particular anime cartoon actor who, does all the same kinds of things, makes their physicality and their look, different, everything like that, conforms it, but it's not so different that you can't tell it's that one actor. It's kind of like, think of Christian Bale. He went and did a part where he lost, hundreds of pounds, and he was almost bone, skin and bone. And conversely, he bulked up to be Bruce Wayne in, the Nolan Batman films. And it's along those lines that I playfully sometimes think of this. Whenever I run into a character that really looks similar to another character, perfect example in the currently soon-to-end season of anime, DanMachi, the series, or Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, has the character of Hermes, or Hermes as it's pronounced in Japanese. He basically looks like, and I pointed this out in a review, he looks like Andy the Cowboy, the rival of Spike Spiegel in one episode of Cowboy Bebop. Though a little bit maybe younger looking, but very similar, And like in another episode, there is a giant sort of Goliath monster creature thing, and it looks very reminiscent of a Titan from the series Attack on Titan. I referred to him in the review for that episode as being Eren Yeager's pissed off, and he's going after Bell, the hero of DanMachi. And, things like that. There's a series that I've actually been watching offline. I got the DVD, the saved DVD pack of this series, Shangri-La. And there's this young character called Shion that is constantly being bullied and tortured by this, very enigmatic and evil sort of bitch in the show, if you'll pardon the French. And he looks almost like a teenage Deckham from Death Parade or Death Billiards. And it's things like that. I always get a kick out of, like, imagining that somewhere out there's an anime cartoon, universe or dimension or something along those lines where these things actually exist. It's kind of like the Doctor Who theory that somewhere there's multiple universes out there, and somewhere there's got to be a doctor roving around in an actual TARDIS and all this kind of stuff. He can't break into our dimension, and we can only see through the window that is entertainment, the show Doctor Who, that he actually exists and such like that. And I always love playing around with that kind of thing. It makes it more fun to be watching different anime series and be reminded of other characters, from other shows. And like I say, I've always had this loose, hilarious concept that when I see characters in two different shows that are very similar, maybe they're voiced by the same voice actor or actress, maybe not, but if they look similar enough, it's like, oh, well, that's that, cartoon actor at another point in their career, whether they look younger, whether they look older, whether they look exactly the same. And I've always wondered if I was the only one who did that, like, who would look at these characters and think, oh yeah, it's almost like the same, actor playing different roles and such like that. I always get a kick out of it. And it's funny because, I'm somebody who's always had a fascination with the linking of actual actors between TV properties, film properties. I like when I can find connectivity between like Star Trek, which is a passion of mine, and Doctor Who, an actor who has been in both, you know, whether it's a modern series or a classic series. Things like actors in Star Wars appearing in like the Scream movies, and it's just, I always get a kick out of that when I can find a connectivity between my different various passions, whether again that be actors on screen or maybe writers or, you know, directors and things like that, but more so because of the personages you see on screen, whether it be, again, anime characters, cartoon characters, or the actual physical, you know, living flesh and blood actors. I always found that kooky and fun to do, and kind of like play that game in your mind where you're watching, it could be anything, and you happen to run into, especially in the animated sense, characters that just have a similar aesthetic, a similar appearance. Could they be the same actor in an alternate dimension where they're real, you know? And so yeah, I don't know, just one of my weird quirks, I guess. And let me know in the comments if it's something that you've done as well, if you've looked at multiple movies that actors have been in and followed them, and you know, appreciated the fact that sometimes your fandoms can be linked through whatever these actors, you know, decide to pick up with and decide to appear in. And I mean, look at Bruce Campbell. This is a guy who you can link Hercules, Xena, his own movies, anytime he's appeared in something, the Spider-Man films, all of that stuff. Evil Dead and Spider-Man, you know, Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, they have a connectivity, and I love that. I love that so much. It's just one of those things. I don't know. So let me know if it's something that you do as well and you found interest in as well. And yeah, I don't know. Let's jam, you know.